Hello and welcome everyone to this week's episode of DoubleDM podcast, where we are gonna be talking about pets and how you as a table can deal with pets as party pets and stuff like that. Sounds like a minor issue, and it is. However, it was still a very great discussion between us two. So first of all, let me ask the first question of each episode. Niels, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Sickness has been mostly worn off, so
Very good,
getting better by the second, basically. And been just reminiscing with Emil about the good old times back in the school days.
I tell you, we're not that old.
No.
But
still
12,
about
13 years ago, stuff feels so far away already.
Percentage-wise, it's a big chunk of our lives.
It's basically half of our lives.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit nostalgic at the moment. And yeah, I can feel my back starting to hurt just thinking about these videos that I still have in my head. Basically perfectly were uploaded 11 years ago, and I was like,
For people that are wondering, we were just watching a parody comedy song by a German YouTube trio called White Titty, called The Last Summer, which was released in 2012. When that last summer, the apocalypse is going to happen based on the Mayan calendar. Shit happened. They released a song that was basically making fun of everything, that you should enjoy your life and blah, 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 blah. And boy, how I still knew the fucking lyrics to that song.
Of course.
Kinda, right?
Of course.
It's these moments where I realize I've been tainted by the internet my whole life.
I have tainted. Yeah.
I mean,
checks out.
That song is a pure product of internet culture.
Yeah.
Basically paved the way for internet culture, especially in Germany in that year.
Yeah.
That song hit charts in Germany. That was basically unheard for like 3 years ago before that. A group that uploads comedy skits to YouTube can actually make the charts in our country.
Yeah.
And I mean, we cannot discuss this on this podcast, but really, I mean, everyone knows this. I mean, American parody songs are also very big and have been growing in the 2010s. And holy fucking shit. That was a wild time to be a Gen Z kid.
Oh boy, yeah, it was. Yeah, but that's just me feeling a bit nostalgic currently. So yeah, I'm good and nostalgic. How about you? How are you feeling?
So I can relate to feeling your back hurting. Not from nostalgia, because I'm so much younger than you.
Thanks.
No, but mainly because I've been doing sports like every week. Yay.
How was your tournament?
Oh, the tournament. The tournament was
Saturday, right?
Was on last Saturday. Yes, that is correct. So the Berlin Team Championship. 14 teams participated in a pool system. And our sports club put in 3 teams, and I was in team 2, Kobukai 2, with 4 other great Kendoka, and very great people IRL out of Kendo as well. And I was very happy to participate with them. And so first of all, I woke up at 7 a.m. to get out of bed on a Saturday, get there, and then get dressed and prepare everything for myself. Then I prepared everything for myself, blah, blah, blah. Then we had to let our equipment be controlled if it was also up to code for the tournament, right? If the Shinai weighed the exact same weight it is supposed to weigh, or is in the range of weight it is allowed to be in, if it is correctly put into place and is not damaged, right? Simple stuff. Obviously, if it would be broken, I shouldn't be using a broken equipment.
Safety regulations,
blah, blah. Then we had a group introduction, more or less, right? Where every Kendo club lined up, and the head of the German Kendo organization said a few things, said a few words and stuff like that, right? And then it was, okay, now you can basically warm up as your own group, as your own club. So we get into a circle, we warm up, we warm up, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like 10:30, 11, and then your first fight is at 1 p.m. So I was so between warming up and having my first fight, it was 2 hours. Now, obviously, what you do is you try to stay warm. You jump up and down. You run a round or two around the rings and stuff like that, right? You stay a little bit warm so you don't get cold, especially in November.
Yeah.
It gets quite cold. So then I had my first fight, or then we had our first fight as a team. That did not go so well. I wouldn't say necessarily fully demolished, but we definitely lost. Very, very clearly. Out of a maximum of 10 points, I think they made 9 to beat us. So that was that. Then our second fight in that pool came, and we completely demolished them as well, like in an 8-1 or something. And I also won my first fight.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Against someone very great kendo from them and from me, I would say. It was a very good fight. I had very much fun with it. And with that, being that we have won one fight and lost one fight, and the other team we won against also lost the fight against the first team, we got out of our pool. So we actually advanced to the group of 8, to quarterfinals.
Okay.
Something the other 2 teams, our kendo clubs, sadly didn't do. And then in the quarterfinals, we got eliminated against another team from the kendo organization that had 4 teams. Right? Because their team 1, team 2, and team 3 were basically all very, very good people. And their team 4 was basically their beginners, that they also wanted to get some experience, just like me and the other, and our third team, for example. So I lost my 2 fights against basically the second place of the tournament and the 4th place of the tournament, which, let's be real, that's okay. That's okay. Fine. That's fine. So and then the finale happened, and that was a fight for the ages. The first 3 rounds out of 5 were all 3 draws.
Damn. Okay. That sounds like a nail biter.
They weren't draws. 3 out of 5 rounds were draws. 1 round was a win for the one side and 1 was for the other. So after all 5 people of both teams went, it literally was a draw.
Damn.
So what you do in kendo is 1 minute, 1 point, fight.
Okay.
Both teams decide who they are gonna send into fight. And those 2 then fight for 1 minute for 1 point. And whoever gets it first is the automatic winner.
Damn, okay. That sounds fucking intense.
So we're all just sitting on the floor, like 100 people around these 2 people fighting, knowing that this fight can really, really decide more or less how the rest of their year goes. Because what is this weekend, or yesterday, if you're listening on Monday, for example, on Sunday and Saturday, the 18th and 19th of November, is the last German tryouts for the national team.
Okay.
Because the World Championship is in Italy next year, and they are deciding the team. And if you win the Berlin Championship, especially against a team that has 4 people from the national team already,
your chances are going up.
One of the one team in that finale had 4 people from the national team in it. And if you win against them, which the other team did, by the way, you have a very good chance for someone to go, why don't we also get you into the team? So there was a lot on the line.
Yeah.
And it was a very great evening.
But congrats for making it out into knockout stage.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Your first fight in the tournament.
Yeah, thank you. It was very fun, was very good experience, but damn, it is a lot of sport. Like my shin, my right shin is completely destroyed. It is completely rock solid, more or less. Still not cramped, but like muscle aching to its max. My wrists are both way too sore to do anything right now, and my back hurts like hell if I don't stretch it every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's what you do to get where you are.
That just takes me back to my sport days when I competed in karate in the Berlin Open, and I felt the same fucking way. It's just, I mean, I got, I think, 3rd place in my weight class, and to get there, it is a lot of movement and a lot of sport you have to do. So I get that.
Yeah.
You're just so a week after that.
Yeah. And I obviously decided to go to training on this Wednesday as well, because why not?
As you do.
The grind doesn't stop or something.
Yeah.
But it does stop, in fact, for TTRPGs, which I'm going to have this weekend. So let's jump to that real quick. Did you have anything TTRPG related this week?
Yeah, I had. I improvised a rather short one-shot. Rather shortly a one-shot, because we weren't sure if we played a one-shot or played something else or did something else with the group or blah, blah, blah. But most people wanted to run a one-shot, so I just got told, yeah, you can do a one-shot at 2 p.m. and we are meeting up at 5. You got this, right? Easy peasy. And yeah, basically I improvised because I just saw the movie Spirited Away, I basically just improvised something along those lines. Big old hag in a Shadowfell bathhouse for people. So yeah, and I think as at least my players told me, they enjoyed it. So yeah, and I inspired one to watch Spirited Away again. So yeah, good movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah, very great movie.
Yeah, but that's basically all TTRPG related for me. What about you? What are you coming up to?
Well, I'm coming up to an 8-hour session on Sunday. Finally again with my Phantoms of Chaos group. We haven't played since September. No, we haven't played since July. September is the session that fell through, which I'm gonna run to on this Sunday, hopefully.
All right. 5 months later.
Basically.
All right.
I hate it here. My players are still in this mountainous region, trying to help the people that are currently being occupied and suppressed by another military force.
All right.
That's that. And I also had Tyranny of Dragons on Tuesday, which was my players finally entering the Misty Forest to find and capture and hopefully not kill the green worm speaker, dragon voice, neuron vein of the elves. The son of the king of the elves, which is a very close kept secret still that my players obviously in the first sentence completely debunked to people going, yeah, we're looking for your prince Neuron Vein. And the elves went, the one that's dead? No, the one that's working with the cult of the Dragon Queen. That can't be, he's dead. No, I'm very much sure he's alive. I've already fought him. And no, he's dead. No, I think your king is lying to you.
Perfect. Yeah,
what?
Just causing an uprising as players do. The classic. All right. Yeah. Sounds like fun, not gonna lie. Blurting out a secret like that, I love that.
Yeah, it happens amazing. So often, right? Because it's also normal. I know exactly why it's done, because players, obviously, they don't necessarily remember what happened like 3 months ago when you told them the secret and said that it's a secret and not to be told to anyone. So I get it. But it's very fun. It's a very fun moment, and it is a comedic moment at the table, so I laugh when they happen.
Yeah, and the thing is, I usually regard myself as a person who can keep secrets. Especially if someone tells me this needs to be a secret, I think I can keep this. But when someone doesn't specifically tell me that this has to stay a secret for as long as they tell me it needs to be a secret, I can see myself blurting it out there by accident anyways. So it's kind of relatable in a way. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it just happens and it's fun.
All right. And I think I don't have anything else this week.
No, I don't. I have been doing mostly simple stuff, a lot of work. So yeah, I think we can jump into our episode on making party pets better. Hey listener, how are you enjoying the show so far? Tell us about it in whatever way you see fit. Go to our social media pages and add us or DM us about your favorite episode of the show. We would love to hear from you on what impact our show might have had on your home games. Or you could review us on your podcast app of choice and leave us a nice message with a 5-star review. And if you want to go above and beyond, bring a friend into the fold. Tell them about our show and refer us to them so they can get a piece of the pie as well. Thank you for listening to DoubleDM and joining us on this incredible journey.
Okay, so Emil, a couple of weeks back, I told you about one of my sessions where we bought an owlbear at the black market, right?
Yeah.
And that just got me thinking. In general, pets in D&D or in TTRPGs are a thing more and more. The longer I play, the more pets I see in games.
The more, yeah.
Kind of, it might just be not that the frequency goes up, but just because I play more, I get to see more pets, just because of the amount of campaigns I run or play in or witness. Might just be that, but that got me thinking about pets in TTRPGs. Why do we as players crave to have pets or want pets, and how can we use them, and how as GMs, how can we introduce them? How can we use them to further the plot line or the story or the tension or anything game related? Can we use them? Should we use them? And why do we, or should we give out pets in general, or should we give out pets? That's something that I want to talk about. So first things first, what are your opinion on pets in TTRPGs?
They're saying mixed sounds wrong, but I'm really, really, really hard on pets because, the discussion about pets oftentimes revolves around, well, you take that dog into combat, it is gonna get hit and die by one hit from the demigod of destruction, right? And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Obviously, yeah. If you're in the wake of destruction, you're gonna get hit. But at the same time, I'm also thinking to myself, it would not change a thing to not hit the dog.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I don't know. Frankly, pets to me, while obviously real life pets are friends, they're best friends, they are part of family. In TTRPGs, they are a very minor thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that they are a big part of the game or any game really. And as long as you don't play a Pokemon game where you could argue that the Pokemons are also your pets, right?
Yeah.
That you care for, but they're also more than that because they're basically the reason you play. Then, yeah, sure, they're a big turning point of the game. But as long as they're not the turning point of the game, they're just an accessory. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think especially in the classic high fantasy TTRPGs where you are, or in the hero fantasy where you are the one that, or your group is the one that's supposed to stop the ending of the world, it's difficult to bring your pet along. It's not difficult to bring your pet along, but it may be difficult to keep the pet alive just because of circumstances.
Is it though? Because let's be real, the Beastmaster Ranger has a literal pet.
Yeah.
That's their whole stick as a class or as a subclass. So they do have a companion. That companion is then a bear, some large animal that can hold themselves in a fight. So you do bring your pet along and it can survive.
Yeah.
Familiars exist in D&D. The Find Familiar spell is level 1. So anyone that can cast the spell can get themselves a pet that is actually very useful to them, right?
Yeah, that's true. Being able to look out of their eyes and hear what they hear from a distance.
So I think, right, these first musings about pets are already a good point to start this discussion, because anyone has an opinion on pets in play. Because it is a very easy thing to have an opinion on. And, well, to make this episode very short, it's up to you as a GM and table, or as a player and table, to figure out how you want your pet to be treated as part of the game. Do you want them to be an actual member of the party, being part of combat, dealing damage? Or do you just want a dog to pet when you go to sleep at camp for roleplay reasons?
Yeah.
Both work and both is just as fine. And that's that. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Hey, on the next one. And
So, you have been getting new pets lately in your games.
Yes.
How was that?
It was a bit weird because, well, we only wanted, or our group only wanted to buy one pet, one Owlbear Baby at a black market. And then we got gifted a baby shark on top of that. So now we have, as a landlocked group currently, figure out a way to keep a shark alive on land while still trying to tame and train a currently growing owlbear, which is a challenge, or which can be a challenge, because having enough water for a shark to swim in, especially when it grows bigger, it can be a difficult task to maintain. Thank God in our group currently we have a kind of water elemental character where the baby shark can just swim in. So that's not the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Currently, but it is only a baby shark and it grows and it will grow, hopefully. Where do we put that? Then that is the point.
You just have to make your genasi bigger.
Perfect. Problem solved.
I don't see a problem, really.
Yeah.
But for real, with both of those things, I think one thing that I like about giving my players pets, or not giving them, because I think one of the first things is, just like in real life, you have to decide on what pet you want. You have to adopt your pet, right? It's not like I just as a GM say, yeah, this dog is now your friend. No, you have to find the dog. You have to love the dog. I'm not going to force you to love the dog. That's not going to work. It's going to be fun for the dog or you. But when you like the dog, you can get the dog. You can keep the dog. But why just the dog, right? Sure, everyone loves dogs. Let's be real. But if you're a person that wants, or I want an owlbear as a pet, because Baldurs Gate showed me cute owlbear pets. Heck, you can have one.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. I had my players have 3 fucking dragons as pets that they were raising from ground up.
Okay, how did that work out?
Oh my god. First of all, it came to be because my players were playing Tyranny of Dragons with me, found 3 dragon eggs unattended by the cult, and took them with them.
Perfect.
Now,
is it still the same campaign that you're...
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay.
My players decided, okay, come on, let's actually, keep these eggs and hatch them. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Let me figure out how blue dragon eggs work. Thank fucking God that Draconomicon in D&D exists, where you can basically read up about dragon eggs. And I read, blue dragon eggs need this and this conditions to crack. Fertilize and crack and then grow a dragon. And, well, they sold one of the dragon eggs off to rescue one of their other party members from death.
Okay.
So they only had 2 left. And then the 2 characters that had these dragon eggs hatched and basically had these dragons attached to them like mother and father left the party. So it worked out fine in the end because I don't have my players raising dragons anymore.
Very good.
However, I obviously had plans to have them get draconic babies, more or less.
Okay.
Actual dragons. So I more or less homebrewed an entire system around raising a dragon.
Okay. How did that go?
Oh, well.
Or what did you think of when you created that homebrew?
So I looked at the stat blocks first and said to myself, okay, the biggest thing I'm going to give my players as a companion for the final epic battle against Tiamat is going to be a young dragon. And I don't mind if they have 3 young dragons fighting with them against Tiamat. That's okay. I'm going to make Tiamat a little bit stronger as well then. No problem. So I basically thought it to myself, okay, so we have the wormling stat block and the young dragon stat. How can I make basically a progressive list from that wormling to the young dragon and also makes a little bit of a few stages before the wormling anyway. And yeah, I took those 2 step blocks, basically drew conclusions out of that for how quickly this dragon grows and how their stats change and stuff like that. And then put that into a table, telling my players that every time they level up, they get a level on their dragon as well. And well, then I made it more or less like a class table, right? They got a few points where they were allowed to choose to customize their own dragon by design, because I thought that would make the game way more interesting for my players than just having a dragon pet. But being able to actually raise the dragon pet, making meaningful choices in training it and showing it how to live is gonna increase the engagement of that. Again, I firmly believe that, especially for things as pets, which are, let's be real, more of a side thing for your games, right? It's a fun side. It's an addition to increase the game fun for your players. You have so much opportunity to make it just the more engageable for your players than just a pet that they can pet, and more of a actual being that they can engage with, train, mold like you would with, for example, when you have a pet in real life. You teach them tricks, you teach them mannerisms, you teach them to behave, and you learn to love them for how they are and their personalities, and all of them are unique. That is also something, right? It's not just a dog. Not all dogs are the same.
No.
I also had basically personality traits tables where my players could roll on to see if their dragon was more of a calmer, smarter one or more of a hot-headed, aggressive one. So that was the basically rewardative side of that little mini game. Let's be real. Also, my players had to invest. I said to them, you have to invest time on your long rests, for example, to train these dragons. And you need to invest a lot of fucking food, because do you know what the fucking dragon eats?
Yep, it's a lot.
Like the thing was, I was like, in the beginning, these wormlings that you have are gonna eat like 1 chicken a day, but that is gonna grow to like 10 chickens a day pretty quickly after like a year or so.
Yeah.
And if you want them to grow, you always need to feed them more. And at some point they will require 1 fucking cow every single day, which when my players looked at how much a cow costs in D&D went, oh, that's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, that
just like quickly. A real pet is in real life. Pets are expensive. And if you want your pet to be fucking cool, you're also gonna have to invest a bit in my games.
Yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah, it's just how it works.
You have to maintain your pet. Maintenance is a big thing in that regard. You have to make sure that your pet can survive and grow, and good nourished meal once in a while, or every time, even better.
And you have to treat it right, right? This is a dragon. This is a predator creature. It is okay that at the beginning you feed it dead chickens, but at some point you're just gonna have to set chickens free and let it chase. At some point when it wants to eat a cow, you need to fucking set a living cow free on a range and let it run around for the dragon to then take flight and grab it right out of the air.
Exactly.
Because otherwise this dragon will feel like a fucking zoo animal treated just for your entertainment. And let's be real, in our worlds, in our fun worlds where we are able to escape from real world bullshit, I am not gonna let you treat a fucking animal or creature just for your entertainment. I firmly believe that we don't need to do that. We can stay away from animal cruelty. Now we can agree and disagree on if a zoo animal is under cruelty, and maybe for some it is better to be in captivity and be kept and cared for, and for others it is not. But at the end of the day, you need to respect that all of these creatures that you want in my games as pets are gonna have their own personalities, their own traits, their own beings. And if you really want, and I will make sure that you engage with that. I will make sure that this pet is gonna be a part of our game. It is not just gonna be an accessory. It is not just gonna be something on the side. It is gonna be part of that. However, I also understand if you are the person that says, I want to play a paladin that has an old dog that he just pets, and for example the dog runs away every time there's combat, and I'm like, that's okay as well.
Yeah, but even that old dog from the paladin in my games would be some sort of, or would have some sort of plot point attached to it in some way, shape or form. It would still be engaged with in some way by the story itself. Be real. Rather being it, the dog finds something that helps the players, or the dog smells something and alerts them, the group, of something dangerous or something along those lines. They just make a connection to an important NPC that they need to talk to because this NPC loves dogs now, something along those lines. There would be still some sort of points of engagement with that pet when it is in your backstory or in your possession is the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
It's a thing, right? The dog is not just a possession or an accessory. It is a real NPC in my games. If you want this NPC, I'm gonna play this NPC. But I'm gonna play this NPC how this NPC is gonna be played. As dumb as that sounds, it is gonna be part of the game. It is gonna be just treated just like every other NPC for me. However, that also means that just like any other beloved NPC you have, it is up to you if they are put in danger or not.
Yes.
So if you want to take your dog into combat, I'm not gonna focus the dog. Let's be real.
If the dog stands in the radius of a fucking fireball, it stands in the radius of a fucking fireball.
And I'm even gonna give your dog a turn in combat for you to move it around and maybe even attack with it. I'm not gonna necessarily focus the dog, because when you're fighting 5 formidable adventurers and there's a dog,
Yeah,
yeah, you can attack the dog, no question. But at the same time, you could also have used that time to either get a better position or attack one of the adventurers. What is going to be more effective to most combatants? Now, also the thing is, and then again, I'm going to be honest, it is very easy to get rid of that dog to not get distracted by it as well. So it would also make sense for your enemy to hit. And I'm here to say, if that is your game, then that's your game. But I think I don't have to hit the dog. And that is entirely because dogs are precious creatures that need to be protected at all costs.
Yeah, and I think there is a difference in types of pets that you can have in regards to especially combat for this point. For example, a normal dog stat block classic in D&D wouldn't be a big threat to any higher level enemy.
Yeah.
Not at all. An owlbear, on the other hand, might be, or most certainly is. And I think there is a difference between having a dog as a pet that is also in combat or having fucking owlbear in armor that just shreds to your enemies. And then the focus becomes something completely different, because then, you don't have to hit the owlbear, but it would make sense to take out this beast right in front of you that just tear two of your friends to shreds just because, right? There's this difference. If you have a combat-ready, combat-trained owlbear at your side, it is totally viable and totally normal to take that into battle with you as well. If you have a shark, don't take it into a battle in the woods. Not the best idea, let me tell you.
Not really not the best idea. I think what you're saying is actually very great, because when we're playing a game, right, it is totally okay for you to just want a dog or cat as your familiar and pet. But you fucking can also adopt, I don't know, an imp, a fucking owlbear, or any other creature that you've always wanted to have just because, oh my god, it's so fucking cool, right? We fucking play these games because the feeling of, oh my god, this is so amazing, oh my god, this is so cool, right? If that feeling is triggered to you by a dog, then get a fucking dog. If that feeling is triggered to you by a fucking owlbear, then get a fucking owlbear, because it's amazing. It's just for fun. And from what I know from these dragon pets, for example, I think there's been very few points where my players have been more happy with something so insignificant actually to them, or to the grander scheme of the game, let's be real, than a pet.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is the single reason why I firmly believe that, yes, you should have pets at your table or in your games, but also, just like in the real world, pets require some work. From characters, from players to pay attention to these pets, and from you as a GM for playing another NPC that you're gonna have to play for the rest of the game, if you're lucky/unlucky, depending on your mood.
Exactly. Yeah, it's also a different way for your players to engage with the game itself. It's another way for them to engage with you as a dungeon master or a game master. Just because it is a point of interaction and crossover point between player characters, the players, and you.
Yeah.
And a way for you as a GM to engage with your players as well. You can proactively play this pet in a way that makes sense for this personality, for this NPC, and have all the other benefits that every other NPC has as well, but just on a different, with a different way of communication. Because most pets in TTRPGs can talk in common, but they still can communicate and will communicate. And that's a big thing that often gets overlooked in regards of seeing pets as NPCs, because they will communicate in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
As real pets in the real life do as well. They will communicate. You as players just have to see that they are trying to communicate with you. And that's another point where you as a GM can use those pets as a way to interact with your players. It's just an element of your world that you can use.
Yeah.
It can be pretty fun, because depending on what type of pet you have, can give so many different types of interactions or information that you can give your players with it. And I mean, being in the middle of a desert, for example, and having a pet shark living inside you, that is definitely a conversation starter. So many people would want to talk to you, because
or not talk to you for that
not
exact
talk to
reason.
But just seeing someone with a shark living inside them is definitely some sort of point of interest. And that's something your players can use, being the center of attention, being it with actively engaging in talks, or just knowing who wants to talk and who doesn't, and who actively avoids them for that reason, or is it for another reason, but they just hide it behind that reason, and all of that.
Interesting, yeah.
It's just a way for your world to react to your world, if it makes sense.
Yeah. I feel that.
Because I think pets are a mixture of a classic NPC meeting a second player character.
Pets are the NPCs that no one minds.
Exactly that. But they still have some sort of influence, or are some sort of influenced by the player characters, by how they raise their pets, and therefore decide how you as the GM play this GMPC of Harold the dog.
Yeah.
And I think that's a weird mismatch that you don't usually have, of player characters influencing NPCs to a degree where you as the GM have to play them exactly that way, and not through role play find out a way how this NPC would react to what the character just said. When the characters take the time and raise that dog to do certain things, the dog can do these certain things, and is not and are not just a reaction to what the player characters have said.
Yeah.
So it's this weird limbo in between space between being an NPC, a GMPC, and a player character, but it's everything but nothing at the same time. It's a bit weird.
I think that's exactly the reason why this topic feels so weird to me. And I think a lot of people listening out here have kind of the same feelings so far. It is hard to talk about pets because they feel somewhat insignificant to the grander schemes of TTRPG discourse, which is about, right, should we fudge dice? System matters. How can we dismantle patriarchal structures? Then people come along. So what do you guys think of pets? I think everyone can agree that discussion is minor.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why I didn't think that we had to do an episode on pets for so long, even though we had the topic from like a year or two ago even already. Because it is an obvious topic to talk about in TTRPGs. Players like pets, period. They have fun with them. It's cool. It is like a very cool thing. It is like a new friend that they can engage with. But it is minor as fuck. And I didn't think that DoubleDM had to discuss like minor things like this, but now I'm also thinking to myself, no, it is fun to discuss these minor things.
Yeah, and why shouldn't we?
The only problem is that I don't know how long this episode can be, because at some point I don't have anything else to say anymore. But I think that these minor topics like pets are a great thing to just have fun at your tables, to loosen up the game.
Exactly, and I think this is one of the biggest parts that gets overlooked with these minor topics like pets, for example, or anything in regards to that, is that, it is not really story impactful or anything along those lines, but it just is a way of to create levity in your game and just have fun, and or it is a way to for you as a GM and your player characters and as players to relieve some stress from the player characters as well. The street food market, for example, it's basically the same thing. Just having something that alleviates some stress and gives a contrast between the high stress, intense battle for life and death and saving the world to coming home and petting your dog. It's just a grounding experience, or a way to ground your players in reality. And one thing that goes hand in hand with that, with this, is the longer your characters or your party has a pet, the more attached they grow to it. At least in my experience, it's and this is exactly a way for you to bind your characters or your party to the world itself. It's a way of immersion, basically, because it is part of the world, and therefore you are linked to the world itself. Something that you cannot control, but kind of do. It's not that normally you could use nearly every player character, remove it from the setting and put it into a different setting, and it would still kind of work if you change up one or two things in the backstory, names, places, whatever. But having a party pet kind of diminishes that ability to just plug and play the character out of it, because it kind of connects the character to the world in a deeper sense than just having a name, a location name in your backstory somewhere, because it's a point of interaction with that. I get that. It's the same with houses, or in general other non-classic monetary rewards for your players. We talked about that. It's a way to bind your characters to the world, the places they have been, and the world that they are trying to save, or maybe trying to save, maybe trying to doom. I don't know your campaigns.
Think about it, right? The group is sitting around a campfire, currently traveling to the evil mage's towers tower that has been erected on this plane of existence now. And they're sitting around the campfire. The party dog goes around in circles, getting pets from everyone, and they're like discussing why they're even doing this. The world hates all of them, right? They've been outcasts all their lives. They've lost things. The world has treated them like shit. And one of them says, let's just fucking do it for our dog.
Exactly.
Because he deserves that this world doesn't end. And let's be real. I would be sitting at the table going, oh, fuck yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to bash this fucker's skull in.
Just going into battle with a new flag, waving the dog.
No.
Wave the dog, but a flag with the dog on it. Okay, let me get that.
No.
Not wave the fucking dog. Wave a flag with the dog on it.
But I mean,
basically, it's a touchstone for your campaign.
Yeah,
for your player characters.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good thing. Well, they don't have to be. Again, pets are completely up to you, and I think that there's very little that actually can be discussed on how to do it right, because how to do it right is basically just easy. Treat it like an actual pet.
Yes.
As a GM, when you are when your players want a pet dog or even a pet owlbear, think to yourself, how would this be a pet? This dog is very, I don't know, alert at the same time, but also very comforting. Then just play exactly that.
Or just screaming all the time.
And like if you had a fucking and let's be real, if you had a pet as a kid growing up that unfortunately is not with us anymore, just play the memory of your pet for the dog or for the cat in the game. First of all, it's a great way to remember this pet. And second of all, it's gonna be realistic and fun and engaging to the players, because that is what a real pet is. And yeah, it's a point of comfort, it's a point of fun, it's a point of entertainment, all of these things combined. But at the end of the day, when you think about the campaign in grand schemes, it is just an accessory.
Yes. Yeah.
That doesn't diminish the fact that the pet is fucking precious.
Yeah, and I mean, saying, it's just an accessory, I mean, basically everything is in some way, shape, or form. Anything that you kind of want to reflavor or say, my scimitar has a gem encrusted on the hilt. Doesn't fucking matter in the grander schemes. It's just basically still a scimitar. Yeah. It's just an accessory. But these are the things that make the game feel real, or accessories in general. It makes them feel more livable, more engageable, because it's different and unique for everyone at the table. It is a point of, or a discerning point between multiple characters that on paper look the same, but are still different by the way you describe your characters or what accessories they have. And having a pet in that way works the same exact way as a different description of your fucking armor.
Yeah.
It's not the same, but it is kind of the same direction.
But I think with these minor things and these details to your games, depending on if it's describing or details about equipment or places or your character or something, they make these games that we play memorable, exciting, and fun.
Exactly.
These details are, at the end of the day, part of the entertainment and the fun that we have at the table. And they are even greater than I think sometimes we all realize, because they make the experiences more worth it than just killing a dragon.
Yeah.
No, you haven't just killed a dragon. You have killed the dragon with the sword of your father that has unfortunately died in an attack on your village. Proven yourself to your father, hoping that he saw you do this act of heroic courage and is proud of you.
Exactly.
You killed a fucking dragon at the end of the day, but it's not just killing a dragon. And the same goes for pets. They are a detail, they are an accessory that make the game better, that make the game worth playing. If one of your players wants a pet and for that reason shows up to the table having fun playing the game because you have a dog in your game, then that is all the detail you need for this character and this player. It is gonna make fun and create a lot of memorable experiences for them. That is what we're here for.
And I think if it creates a memorable and fun experience for one player, most of the time will lead to a memorable and fun table situation, because then when everyone at your table is having fun individually, it kind of leads to amazing character interactions or amazing player interactions that just lead to a better table experience, at least from what I've witnessed so far in my career. Having a great table where everyone, not just as a group feels comfortable, but everyone at the same time individually feels comfortable and heard and seen and just is happy on their own as well, works wonders for the table atmosphere. And a good table atmosphere works wonders for your game. That's just the way it is. If you have a good atmosphere, the game will be so much more fun than if you have a trash atmosphere. So yeah, and pets are a way to achieve that, basically. One way to achieve that. There are multiple ways. We talked about a lot of them. But yeah, pets can be fun. Helpful, fun, engaging, unique, and having the ability to get a pet or what pet is obviously completely decided by the setting that you're running and the system that you're running. Because in an underwater setting, I don't think a bird would fit, or a dog might be difficult, but depending on what is there and how you play and what type of setting you're playing, it might work, it might not, but you find other things. And yeah, just look at the system that you're playing, look at the setting that you're playing in. And then if you want a pet, talk to your GM about it, because all GMs that I know that when I say I want a pet in this game for my character, sure, what pet do you want? I have met no GM that said explicitly, no, you cannot have a pet. So as per usual, communication is key. Talk to your GM if you want a pet or anything along those lines, and then you'll most of the time find a way to get what you want.
Yeah, I think what you just said, right? No GM has explicitly ever stated, no, you cannot get a pet. That is because pets are minor. We've said that countless times already today. But I think at the end of the day, pets are part of session 0. It sounds like everything is part of session 0. And minor discussions that encompass several things at once. For example, on safety tool sheets, on consent lists, there is a part on animal cruelty, at least on my games, and how my players stand on this. And let's be real, how much cruelty I am able to inflict on animals, especially innocent animals, meaning pets. Regardless of what my players answer, I still have my own standards or own ways of doing things. However, right, that explicitly implies a discussion around pets being able to be had at the table. Right? It's a thing that you as a table can and should discuss. It doesn't have to be in session 0. It doesn't have to be important. It just can be, right, a simple question of, my character wants a dog. Can I get one? Right? And your GM goes, sure, great. But we will have to talk about animal cruelty towards this dog, the dog being in the line of fire, you treating that dog, and so on and so forth. And that is part of character creation, more or less.
Yeah. In one of my campaigns that I run, one of my characters got a dog and then later decided, or when they went to fight one of the vampires and blah, 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 they decided to leave the dog with a friend of theirs for this week that they were gone. But after that, decided to wanted to play a new character and retire that one. So they all had a tavern already. So we just said, hey, okay, your former character will run the tavern, will keep the dog, and then we'll don't have to worry about it. But all of the other characters that have grown attached to the dog and kind of engaged with it can still see the dog if they want to. So it's not completely gone. The same thing goes for your character. That's one thing that I have done that we've discussed, because animal cruelty isn't a thing in our games, or innocent animal cruelty is. We decided to not have that unnecessarily.
And that's fine, right?
Period. So we always found a way to get rid of the dog to not be in a fucking fireball. That was just the thing. But we talked about it. If you decide to take your dog into battle and there is a big AoE, there is a big AoE. I won't focus it, like you said, but it might happen. So we found a way, leave it with a friend, and then leave it with the former character, so it's still there, but not really there. That's all we did. So that was a discussion that we didn't have in session 0. That just was 5 or 6 sessions in, because it was at that point, hey, how about we get a dog? And then I said, hey, sure, okay. But we discussed animal cruelty in session 0. Think about that. If you want the dog, you can have the dog. Easy peasy. There we go.
Yeah, I think that's entirely enough, right? If you know your table, you've been playing for years, you all know each other, right? That's the discussion around safety rules also as well, right? We know our tables. We don't need to discuss everything. You don't, but you can. And it can be, just because you know because you know each other, it's even easier to just say, yeah, let's discuss this quickly, right? You don't have to lay groundworks for the discussion. You don't have to get everyone comfortable or something. You can just say, hey, so you want to get a pet. At my tables, I firmly believe that your pet will be part of combat. Is that okay with you? Yes. yes. That depends. To me personally, I'm not that great with animal cruelty, especially if it's, for example, an innocent dog that hasn't done anything. And then the DM can go, yeah, if your dog stays on the sidelines and does not get into combat, I can totally just keep them out of combat. If that is what you want, that is what you want. It doesn't have to be complicated or more complicated than that.
And most of the time isn't.
So,
at least
but one thing that I firmly believe that when you have a pet, as I've said before, right, it should be a creature to engage with. That means personality. But also, even if it doesn't fight, it should have a stat block.
Yeah.
It should adhere to the rules of the game. At least in basic ways. Because let's be real, I want this pet to also be an engaging part, right? As we said, right? It's not just an accessory. It is an engaging part. It is its own creature. That means it gets a fucking stat block. And that means it only has 4 HP or something. I am not going to attack it. So it is not in danger of these HPs. But it has these HPs. And it has these stat blocks, and it has this modifier to this rolls. It can roll dice. It can help you guys, but it has this stat block. And it will always have it. Because I firmly believe that if I want the pet to be part of the game, it has to be part of the game.
Exactly.
And I think one other thing to add to that, your pet should also require you to care.
Yes.
You need to invest in that pet. If you have a dog, that means you have to buy dog food. That means you have to pay for whatever else you think is important. A leash or not. A collar. Equipment for when you take your normal dog up north into icy cold tundras.
Or just as simple as a dog house for your dog, or someplace where your dog can sleep comfortably. Something along those lines. Keep all of these small little things that don't seem like much in mind when you handle pets, because every little thing of that adds up to the whole thing and can just completely destroy the fun and enjoyment of having a pet in TTRPGs. Because, like you said, in my games, it's the same as in yours. It is a pet, so treat it like a pet. You have to nourish it. You have to maintain it. And that's a big part. If you forget that, I will find a way to get rid of the dog or the pet.
As mean as it sounds, right?
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean it dies. It just means it fucks off and goes somewhere else, for example.
I have one final question for you about pets. Who rolls the fucking dice for the pet?
Most of the time it's the one, quote unquote, owning the pet in my games.
Do you think so? But do you think that that's why do you do it? Why do you think that that's the best approach?
I don't know. It just feels like it. I have never actively thought about it.
But why? It is its own person. Shouldn't you as the GM control it as an NPC?
Yeah. This is the weird limbo that I talked about earlier. Yeah. It's kind of an NPC, but also kind of a PC, but kind of also
it
a
is
GM
part
PC.
of a PC, right?
Exactly, but also not.
But also it is not just an accessory to that PC. It is its own creature, its own person. And therefore, I think as a game master should roll the dice. And at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter because it's a die roll. It's supposed to be 5% anyway. It doesn't fucking matter. There's a 5% chance for every side. And no, it does not matter who rolls the dice. It does not matter what die is rolled. It only matters that you roll a fucking die.
Yeah, mathematically and theoretically at least.
But in practice.
Let me tell you about October Curse. Who rolls the dice and what dice are rolled are important.
Yeah. When that is the case, I firmly believe that the GM should roll, because the player might be able to say, I command my dog to do this. That is okay. But the dog still abides by the same metaphysical rules of the game and therefore has a dice to be rolled. And by definition, the GM plays all NPCs.
Yeah.
But then again, it doesn't fucking matter all that much. But also, I just think that that metaphysical, no, the player does not roll the dice for the pet, means that the pet is more of its own creature. You basically give it more autonomy without actually changing anything.
Yeah, okay, fair. It kind of, and with that, I think you kind of add to the player agency in a way by taking something away from them. That's a good point. Yeah, because when you give your players the control over this pet completely, they can decide whatever they want, but without really taking into account that this creature is their own creature. They are just an extension of their own character. But when you take that away from the players, you kind of improve on agency because now they have some other creature to interact with in a way that fits their character. Interesting. So what a revelation at the end. Taking something away from your players can lead to player agency.
And I bet you the fucking hell that most people will not listen to this episode because they think the topic is way too minor to talk about and it's boring and never get that realization or revelation. Well, get fucked, everyone.
And let me tell you, what we just said at the end will be a hot take for our hot takes episode at some point.
Oh my God, the hot takes episode.
We will be
spoiler for everyone. We will have an episode where we're gonna talk about only our hot takes. That is gonna be a comedic episode, by the way. It's not gonna be an episode that is important. That is gonna be to be taken serious. We just want to have fun, and an episode about hot takes sounds fun because hot takes are the worst thing on the internet ever. So why not make an episode of 50 minutes filled with them?
Perfect.
And with that, I think we're done for today.
I think we are. And as per usual, thank you all for listening and hear you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of DoubleDM. It appears you liked this one. What we had to say and our advice helped you. Why not show us how we helped you in a rating? Or even write a review detailing us how we helped. You can do this on the platform that you are listening on right now. It's just a few clicks, doesn't take long, and helps us out. It gets us out there and our advice into more ears of more people. Thanks again for listening and joining us on this amazing journey. Have a great day and hear you on the next one. Bye-bye.